people. I got a video I had planned, but I kind of have to I have to start it early. I'd start it now because of where I am in my process. So first off, it's really cool that I gotten support for my Predator video, and I'm not going to be like a dedicated channel for that, but I do love Predators. So the fact that you guys like that too makes me want to do more of that stuff. Because that being said, I now have my hands on the Mezco 112 Predator, and I have a lot to say about this Predator. A lot of really good, some bad, but overall, it's a cool figure. And I have to start the video tonight, even though I wanted to wait, because I am in the process of punching it up. And if I have it all finished punched up, because I feel like doing it tonight, then you're not going to see what I did. You know what I'm saying? So I'm going to keep the review pretty short because I feel like I can say what I have to say in a very short amount of time. So it is obviously more expensive than a NECA figure. Check your local toy store's pricing. It will vary, I'm sure, depending on where you're at, but it's for a reason, and I feel like it is justified, asterisk. So let me grab my Jungle Hunter. I don't want to do exactly like the video I saw of this, but I do want to kind of touch on some things that I feel like I can't avoid putting in my video if I'm going to do this justice at all. So, God, I got fucking heartburn. Here it is, decapitated next to the NECA Predator. And NECA Predator's taller, a little bit. Not much, but by just a hair. But yeah, other than that, NECA stuff always looks good, like NECA does. But I think you should be able to instantly see some big differences in the way it's constructed. So, off the rip, let's just go real quick here. Painted on net, real net, plastic leather chap things, real pants, sweet. The armor pieces, I think on both, as far as I know, are pretty separate. But now this is the NECA Ultimate Jungle Hunter, just to clarify. They both have the opening wrist computers, cool shit. Comes with a bunch of accessories too. I don't have everything out because I did kind of pack some shit away. I actually didn't even think about making a video, and then I saw all the comments and shit on my other Predator videos. So I'm like, okay, yeah, I'll do it. I'm down with it. I'm vibing with it, you know. Some shit over here too that I took off of it because again, I was in the middle of custom. I'm like, wait a minute, stick a pin in that. We need to do some things. Anyway, beyond that, the Mezco. This is the Mezco 112. The Mezco. It's made for swapping stuff out better than the NECA is. You can do it with the NECA, but per my previous video, like I told you, you have to do stuff to it to make sure you don't brick it. Didn't have to do any of that stuff to the Mezco to swap heads out. Real easy, pops off without a problem. I don't feel like I'm gonna break anything. Overall, the feel of the figure, I don't feel like I'm gonna break it playing with it and doing poses and shit. So that's an automatic plus right off the rip, because I wanted this to be on my desk, so when I'm working my job, I can look at it and be like, I'm doing a job to pay bills, and then this is the shit that I'll be doing when I'm not working. And I like having stuff on my desk like that, and I don't want to have NECA stuff on my desk like that because you can't touch it. You touch it, you're gonna fucking kill it. You don't have that with the Mezco stuff. This is my second Mezco figure. It's the third now, because I got the King Kong first, because that was just badass. And then I found that the City Hunter. By the way, thank you for whoever corrected me on the last video. I have an issue where I forget and call shit the wrong name. It's just an issue, but don't think you're gonna hurt my feelings by correcting me. Thank you for keeping me on my P's and Q's. I'm serious about that. But that was badass too. I don't even like chibi figures, but just the quality of it was so sick. You know what I'm saying? And this is, in some ways it's better, in some ways it's not. I feel like the paint app on this is a little better. Well, shit, at this point, I might as well probably work on that one too down the road. That's not what this video is about. Back to this. Beyond that, some of the shit that's cool about it, I think some of the Ultimate NECA, I know some of the Ultimate NECA Predators will do a light for the visors and shit. There is a laser in this that cuts on You can watch other videos on. I'm not gonna fucking do that right now. That's not what this video is about. But anyway, there's a little switch in his head here. Pop the helmet off, and then you do that, and that's what turns the laser on. Cool shit, right? Anyway, but you can see the magnet, or stuff is hot swappable via magnets. That's first off. That's different. Nothing NECA has that, as far as I know. And I like that system because, like, for example, my 3-0 Kaiman, his heads are hot swappable via a magnet. His facial expressions are, at least. And I like that system. As long as your magnet's not a piece of shit and it's pretty strong, great way to do it. If you want to fiddle with your stuff on your desk, I think that's if there was a Cliff Notes, the Mezco Predator, you can fiddle with it on your desk. Jesus Christ. Anyway, so stuff it comes with off the top of my head. There are long blades. I chose to display it with the short blades. I don't know, because he's got long blades, so we have long blades covered, right? And then there's actually there's a LED in the Canon. I don't think any of the NECA Predators thus far have a LED light in the Canon. I haven't figured out how to set it up. I was having some issues. Hey, you guys that watch my videos that give me correction information, can you tell me how these batteries are supposed to go in the backpack? Because the instructions did not show where positive and negative terminals were, nor was there any markings that I could see inside of the piece itself. I figured out the helmet because it had a positive and negative on the helmet, but the instructions did not say put the battery in up or down. This one, it had a marking in the thing to show me what direction the batteries go. This one did not, and I just want to fuck it up. Let me know so I can turn this laser on and play with it. Anyway, if you choose not to use the LED feature, this little piece of the backpack. Damn it! I need a thing to hold my phone while I do videos. There we go. So I always loved in the Predator. Maybe when I was a kid, we did the little med kit shit where he's he got shot up and he's I gotta fix my knee, and it's in here. How cool is that? It's amazing. I love that. Love that feature. Great stuff. But you have to choose between it or the light. So right now, you see what we've chosen. Sick. I will say the backpack is a lot easier to swap on and off than the NECA ones, because the NECA ones have a tooth up here and a tooth down here that bites the plastic. This one just kind of shacklacks on the old back thing there. That works pretty good. I like that. Again, for playing with shit on your desk, this is way better. Anyway, let's see. What else do I want to cover on here? Oh, so yeah, the figure overall. Oh, the posability. Holy shit, yeah, the posability. And I didn't think about this because I've had NECA Predators my whole life, and they're not very posable. You can do a little bit of posing on them, but you can't pose them. Not like a Gundam, you know what I'm saying? So this one, however, the infamous roar where he sprawls out and spreads his arm and does the with his mouth open and shit. You can pretty much do that with this. And I only have one hand to do a video, so I can't pose it out for you. I did it earlier, playing with it when I was messing around with it, but you can do poses with it. Also, the stand that comes with, really nice rugged stand, holds the figure. I don't have to worry about it falling over in the middle of the night. These sons of bitches over here, it stays on here. I wiggled it around to see it's not coming loose, but it also comes with a thing where this peg comes out and then there's a stick with a grabby, kind of like an action stand on a Gundam, so you could do dynamic poses if you want to make it jump or whatever. Maybe I'm not helpful with that. I don't care about that right now. So that's all the cool stuff I have to say about this figure, which again, I absolutely have no regrets about grabbing this. And it's so much so I'm I hope that Mezco doesn't do any more of these, because my wallet cannot stand having to get more of these to do what I've done, because I just know this is a me thing. Okay, so now we're going to get to the not so great stuff, and I had to pause here because I'm oh, this is the perfect place to pause. All right, so I guess the NECA Jungle Hunter is not that fantastic either, but you get what you pay for there. But then you look at this, and I was talking to one of my friends, and I guess I didn't think about how dissatisfactory the paint was until he pointed it out when we were chatting on Instagram. Hey Ash. And then I was wow, because then you look at this, and then I'm looking at I think it's the Sideshow. I'm hopping between the Sideshow and the Prime 1 Studio statue. And look at the patterning on his fucking arm, completely missing from the Mezco Predator. And hey, if I didn't customize figures, I might be a little butthurt about that. But guess what? If you know my channel, I customize figures. Thank you, because that means I could do it and make it better. So I haven't done that yet, but I've started with the head. I did that earlier, and now like once I've done the handle, I'm like, shit, I should have done a video. So like, we fixed the head. The head was problematic like that too. The head did not have, it had the spots, but it did not have enough spots. Like when you actually compare it to the Prime 1 figure, when you compare it to the movie stills, it needed to be much darker, much richer. What did we do? I used a little bit of Gundam marker, but actually I'm gonna be straight up with you. I found the slightly more satisfactory way to go is a Sharpie fine point to do the stippling for the head around the crown, and then the little pattern down the middle of both hemispheres of his head. So that's how we handled most of this. And then after that, we went and we took some paint. Today it was, they call it cobalt red. You almost want to call it like a brownish red, right? Is what it actually is. Because I'm pretty good at like seeing something like, oh, that's the color it actually fucking is. And I used this for the secondary spots. I used a sharpened toothpick. And before you're like, Logan, you're crazy. Like, what are you? I'm not gonna do this shit. I swear to God, it's not that hard. Can you use a pencil to write your name? I know this is intimidating, but I believe in you. If you're watching my channel, I believe in you that if you want to do this, you can. If you don't want to do this, fine. I don't blame you at all. This is hobbies, not for everybody. But if you don't do this because you're like, I can't do it, yes, you can. You can do this. I believe in you. You can do anything. This is not, it's poking dots in a pattern, you guys. If you can do it on paper, do it on paper. Try it, get your paint, and get a piece of paper, and see if you can draw a bunch of dots in the shape of a line in a circle. If you can do that, you can fucking do this. So yeah, you can do this. But I took the cobalt red with a sharpened toothpick. You want to make sure that point's real nice and sharp, so your stippling is small, because that's the secondary piece. So the secondary stippling is what you see in between the black areas on each hemisphere there. Do you see those now? So that's what we did there, right? We continue the patterning, and again, this is based on what I saw from the Prime 1 maquette, as well as the live action shots. The way that the patterning is, you see how much darker it is around his eyes. It was way too light around his eyes on the default figure. We had to crank that up, and I did that too. So I had to go in around the eyes, and I didn't really go like, oh, super intricate. I just basically like gave this dude some fucking eyeliner with the paint around his eyes. Also, the thing that makes this easier for you if you want to be like, this is my first figure, is this shit. Oh, that's the other thing too. It's magnetically attached, so you can get in there and do this stuff easier. That's the other thing this figure has that NECA doesn't, is magnetically swappable face pieces. But the other plus of that is makes it easier to paint this face and get in there and get those eyeballs. But the actual eyeball itself, I did not touch at all. I just took some black paint and just widened the darkening around his eyes, made them wider, and then got in there with the marker. You can see I did some stippling up on the underneath of the eye. Again, from reference photos, it's supposed to be that way. I added some serious amount of stippling on the sides of the face, and then, you know, per mandible, we just kind of copied into the same thing with some black spotting where I saw it in the photos, some red spotting where I saw it in the photos. The other thing we did on these two was the mouth was basically a bubblegum pink with no washes whatsoever. Would have been bummed if I didn't do this, but I did do this. So I went and got myself some red tone and some soft tone washes and did some stuff. The mouth is mostly the red tone with a little bit of soft tone. And then all around the face, anytime I saw detail, like the middle of the hemisphere and like the little ridges around his eyebrows and shit, washes to bring that up, and then just a little thin coat of some soft tone all around the head, and then look what you got. That's all I did here. Like, yes, does this look amazing? I know it does, but you can do this too. That's why this channel exists, because I'm like, hey, you can do this shit too. And then after you're done, you want to go over it with some matte varnish spray. You know, I beat that dead horse in my videos to protect your work. That way you can handle it, you can play with it on your desk and shit, right? So that's where we are with this now. But yeah, and we did both mouthpieces the same way roughly. There was just less inner mouth to paint with the red wash, but we got the same effect. And it just made it so much better. Like, the other thing too is if you do the patterning, it hides the fact that this was a slightly lighter piece of plastic to where you don't even see the transition unless you're like really looking, especially if you're looking from above. You don't see it. It's magic. You're gonna be happy to have this on your desk then, so much happier than before. So that's part one. My phone's about to die in batteries. The next thing I will continue to do, because I'm not going to film this whole process, I don't want this to be a big tutorial like my Predator mini tutorial. This is just like a little, let me show you how I do this video. And so we're going to continue on. We're gonna look up some reference images. You just want to go to Google and search like Jungle Hunter, and then change your tools settings to large size images so you have high detail, so you can really get in there and look at those patterns. And you're just going to try to copy those patterns as much as possible. Now with the net, obviously you're just, I mean, it's a marker. It'll go into the net. No big deal. We'll do some light tones. I'm sure I can get in between the net and touch the skin with my tiny little paintbrush. Shouldn't be a problem. No idea what I'm going to do with the helmet. That'll probably be another segment of this video. Probably going to hit some grease and dirt and grime on that leather pantaloons, do that shit, and just continue this process. But that's all this really is. And you basically take this Mezco figure and take it from like pretty good to fucking perfect. So that's it for now, and I'll be back with more stuff. Okay, and we're back, and it is finished, and now I'm actually going to explain stuff. So, because I didn't want to do like a really super in-depth tutorial, because I don't feel it's necessary. If you want something like a super in-depth tutorial, I'll be glad to do so for you. So, just FYI, just so you know. So what we did, again, was we souped this thing up, and you want to have good reference materials. I didn't try to do a carbon copy of the Predator's patterning, because actually the NECA one's pretty accurate, even if the details aren't as crispy as you would prefer. But I mean, it's done in a factory. They do the best they can for mass production, you know what I'm saying? But for, you know, we're hand painting, so we can go wild with it. I did a little bit of deviation on it though, because as you can see, like there's some kind of stuff with the Predator's detail that I kind of chose to, I didn't completely ignore it, but I chose to make it more subtle, because this is actually pretty accurate to the Jungle Hunter with the giant spaces of like almost yellow, and I didn't want that. So let's look at the reference images here. We actually used the Prime One Studios big ass 3rd scale statue, because that one just happened to have some really good reference photos for me to work off of. So like the back of the hand needed a lot more. It was basically the pale color, but it needed all that stuff. I'm gonna explain how to do all that, but you've got all that stuff going on. The legs needed so much darkening done. I guess I'm not technically done, because I'm probably going to add some viscera to the skull and spinal column that it comes with, but that's going to be a lot of what you've already seen me done on my other videos with like that display for that Devilman figure a couple of videos back. Let's see what else that I kind of picked out of it, but I'm going to explain to you how to do this pattern. And then, because I kind of basically, like, I figured out how this was going to look good on the figure, and then I kind of like, you know, freestyled it a little bit, if you will, because as you can see here, and this is pretty accurate to the movie, because I've watched the movie like 9 million times. He's got these little like white patches on his quads, and his chest area's got a lot of light areas, and I chose to go a little darker on mine. I don't know, man. I was just kind of going with what I felt like I wanted to do, and I'm happy with it, even though I wasn't going for 1000% movie accuracy. Just looking better is what I wanted. You know what I'm saying? The other thing I guess I haven't really done is the helmet, because the helmet honestly looks good in my opinion. Now it does not have the damage. Again, if I cared about 1000% movie accuracy, it doesn't have the little scorch mark here on the helmet, and it doesn't have that little crack in the middle, because this is a $3,000 statue, and that is a not $3,000 figure. There is a little bit of modeling under the throat and stuff like that. What else did I want to pick out here to point out? And then, like, actually, I'm surprised they didn't do more detail on these bones on the statue here. I mean, I personally, you'll see what I did on mine, but maybe that's more maybe accurate. I don't remember if the bones were darker or not, I'll be honest with you. Let me see what else we got in here. And then see, even like this one, it comes with like a one where it has like, I would say this looks more like what it looked like in the movie, I guess, versus this one. I guess they're trying to like kind of amp it up a little bit with a little more depth in the damage or whatever. That's fine. And that's pretty much it for my takeaways on this. I might just change my mind and add some washes to the armor, but you already pretty much will know how to use washers when I get done here. So yeah, that's pretty much what I wanted to point. Yeah, there's the two little light parts on the legs. they kind of did. You know, again, that's pretty movie accurate, y'all. So let's go to the figure itself. So what we've done here, and I'm going to walk you through an exact order of how to do what I did, and I promise it's not hard, because man, I was barely. I'm telling you from experience, this is what I did today was beginner level stuff, even though it looks so good. The first thing you want to do is I used the Army Painter's Speed Paint, and I mixed a 50-50 mix of hardened leather and camo cloak until I got what I would consider a satisfactory color that looked close to the head. I wanted the body to look more uniform. The one thing that I guess if I were designing the Predator, quote unquote, that you're not going to top the master, don't get me wrong, but I wanted a more uniform gradient for the body, whatever. It's just how I wanted to roll with this. So I wanted to try to match what I did with the head with the body, because I did the body a little different than I did the head. And part of that was adding a lot of detail, because like it's not just spots on the Predator, it's actual darker patches of skin. Let's go back to the reference here. Shit. Let's go to the 5X. There we go. You can see not only it has spots, but it's got darker patches of skin. So we're talking about layers. Wonderful. I love doing layers. Back to the figure. So what we did was we mixed this as a 50-50. Now you don't have to think this hard into it, but for me, when I do this, because I want it to look a little more natural and organic, it's like sometimes I'll kind of not mix it up, like with a toothpick, mix it up together so well. So it's like 4 drops of camo cloak, 4 drops of hardened leather, and kind of whip it up, because like as I dip the brush in it and paint, some parts I want it to be a little more green, some parts I want it to be a little more brown, and it adds a little bit of more of an organic feel to it and less like fake. And I did that with that. So basically all I was doing, y'all, was just basically trying to roughly copy the patterns, just roughly, you know, and just kind of go around here, and I'm just kind of sloshing it on. Now the net, obviously the net, you're not going to fuck up the net with paint. If anything, I think the net looks better now that it's kind of wetter from several sprays of varnish and several coats of paint. And you lay that in there, and you do your you're laying down your dark spots and your light spots, if you will. And I swear to God, you're going to laugh at this shit, but no, like you let that dry, and then what did I come back with? A fucking regular Sharpie. I was doing 5-point on the head, but for the body, we switched to a regular point. What do you think? Do you think that's a botch job from a Sharpie? I don't. But now, legit, just use a Sharpie. And the reason I switched from the regular 5-point Sharpie, or the tiny Sharpie, to the regular Sharpie, is it felt like it was going to take forever to do those dots, and they didn't feel dense enough. Like I started that a little bit on the head, because I did just the head with the fine point at first, and then I felt it wasn't dense, so I went in, and at some areas I added dots with the bigger Sharpie, which kind of made the blotches feel a little blotchier. But what I was trying to copy from the thing, it's supposed to look more like a pattern. So I did a gazillion dots, and they're mostly like 95% of the dots are going to be on the darker paint parts. And then, but you still want to kind of randomly put some spots over the white parts, or over the light parts of the body, you know what I'm saying? So I did that, and then after that, I did the same thing with the head, though. I did take the cobalt red with a toothpick and just added some random splotches just here and there. Not a lot. Let's zoom in here so you can kind of see, if you want to pause the frame and just take it in and see, there's just kind of, you know, maybe 5% of the spots, 10 at most, are the cobalt red spots on the body. Just repeated this process for the entire thing, and I just tried to do the best I could, because the one problem also with that, with reference photos, is I couldn't get some good shots of the back of the arms and the back. But like, thankfully they had a great shot of the hand, and I did try to get pretty close to replicating that hand, and I'm pretty satisfied with that result. But you do that, like I said, you know, you do your layer with the speed paint mix. You let that dry. You do Sharpie dots. The Sharpie doesn't really dry, it's just done. And then you take and you speckle on some cobalt red, and at that point, the next thing you do is you coat it with some matte varnish. You want to protect your layer, because this stuff here will reactivate if liquid hits it on top sometimes. You want to make sure that it doesn't reactivate for the next step. Once your matte varnish is dried, and yes, you just spray the whole figure. When you paint this stuff, don't even worry about the net. Like, just paint over the fucking net. It's black. It's not gonna matter. And you definitely don't want to remove the netting, because I have a feeling you could damage it pretty easy by trying to remove it and put it back. And don't put yourself through that bullshit. Anyway, now we're at the part where we're actually including the bones as well, because what we're going to do next, all we are doing is just kind of putting on some little coats of soft tone washes That's it. I did that was the final step for the head. That is the final step for the body. And you just kind of go over everywhere with it, especially where you see there's more creases. Because if you see more creases, like in the rib cage area here, you know that wash is going to fall into there. It's going to give more definition to the detail and give you just a more detailed, sharper looking figure. Washes are just the best thing ever. Same thing was actually done to the necklace. Now, full disclosure for this necklace piece, I sprayed it with the matte varnish first so that it had a nice kind of a coarse surface so that the tone would stick well and wouldn't pull. Because sometimes if you find that you're trying to apply the washes and they pull up and drops a little bit, you might need a rougher surface. So I did that just right off the bat because I didn't want to fool with that with these necklaces. I just want to make sure they look really good. Same thing with them, but yeah, just everything got hit with just brown washes just where the body is, and then another coat of matte varnish to protect, and voila, that's how you do it. You see what I'm saying? I promise you this is not hard. I know sometimes people can make things that look easy and then they're not easy, but this is a thing that actually is easy. And I promise you that you can do this. What I will say is this: if this is your very first repaint ever, maybe don't practice on a Mezco Predator. If you're really concerned and you want to like build your courage up, if you will, if you go to Walmart, they actually sell, there's a newer off-brand of Predator called like Leonard brand or something. I don't remember what it's called. But these Predators are like super cheap. They're like, 10 to 20 bucks cheap. They're not bad either. And I will tell you from looking at them, like I don't have shelf space. But if you have shelf space and you want to give it a stab beforehand, go get one of those and practice on those. Now, those are a glossier plastic. You're going to want to make sure that you coat it in matte varnish first and then do this detail work. But you're absolutely going to understand these concepts on that $10 figure. And then once you've done it and you feel pretty happy, then go get your Mezco. So that's how I updated the Mezco. Now let's just talk about overall ratings. This is the end of the video because I'm hungry. I want to go get breakfast. Sculpt of the figure, absolutely way better than NECA. Not just like visually, because that doesn't look bad. It's just that it's composed. I mean, look at this. Look at the stancing. I mean, like I didn't do the squat roar thing. I'll fool with it later. I just needed to get this video done and go eat. But you see here, it's like you can actually like make a realistic stance with them more than just like one or two and just move the arms. You can really pose these things. That's a huge win for me. I don't feel like I'm going to break it playing with it. Another huge win for me. Again, the realistic netting is super awesome. LEDs in the gun and the helmet is super awesome. But now I really like this, and I feel like it is definitely worth the money. But just do understand that you may feel like me. Honestly, you might get it and be happy with the paint job and don't feel like you have to do this. But if you feel like you want to try to do it like I did, I feel like it was worth the effort. I mean, I sunk maybe 2 or 3 hours in this total. Like, it was nothing, dude. But now that was pretty much it. But yeah, that's how you do it. If you want any further questions on anything in this process, please drop in my comments. I greatly appreciate y'all's participation and enthusiasm on the Predator stuff. If you keep liking it, I'll keep doing it. I'll go more and more ham with projects. So thank you for watching this long video and hanging in here with me. And you guys have a great day.